For our next offering, we have our resident CPA and treasurer, Sharon Pangar.
Mr. Toastmaster. How many of you here love coffee? Wow. What do you take?
Flavored creamer.
Whatever, regular house coffee.
Anything else?
Milk.
Okay. Okay, I love coffee too. And what I'm going to do, oh my goodness, what I'm going to do is start with telling you what the difference between coffee and espresso is. I might be able to convince you to take espresso or any based espresso beverage. And then I will proceed to talk about the anatomy of an espresso and then say whether it's good for us or not and what kind of caffeine is contained in an espresso, and finally what are the different shots called and what are the other beverages called and why I love coffee. All right? So the difference between coffee and espresso. Coffee is the liquid that is extracted from the coffee bean. And espresso is actually the water that is passing through a heated and pressurized amount through a fine ground coffee. So it's the water that passes through it. So it's more of a procedure rather than the way of brewing or the coffee bean itself. It's a way of how it's prepared. So because of this, there's richer taste in the espresso. And they are only a small pieces because you cannot take so much of it. It is only about an ounce is a shot. Double shot is 2 ounces. And normally when you order, it's a double shot unless you say single shot. So it's usually 2 ounces. So the anatomy of the espresso shot is there are only 3. The crema, the top, it's not really milk, but that's froth. It's what is created after the pressurized water passes through the fine ground coffee. And then the body and the heart. So the crema is actually the first visible indicator that it was brewed correctly. If you have crema, then it is the light brown froth on top of the espresso, and then the body is just the in between that, and the heart would be the bitter part of it. But so this is why. How do you take it? Normally, when you take this, you stir in the foam into the coffee. And it's good to stir it because then at least it blends the whole 3 parts. So is coffee good or bad for us? Well, a lot say there's some very good points. In fact, they even say that it improves long-term memory and it helps with cancer. And it also actually improves type 2 diabetes and so many really uh, good benefits. But at the same time, if your body can take the amount of caffeine, you also have the drawbacks. It is also bad for you if you take too much. You will have anxiety, insomnia, high blood pressure. So the key is to know what your body can take, the amount of caffeine it can take. So why do we always feel good though when we take coffee? It's proven that there is dopamine that is released from our brain when we drink coffee. And that's why we have euphoria and we feel happy and you can take on the whole day once I feel that once I have my double shot of espresso. So how much caffeine is in a shot of espresso? Because They say it's about 60 milligrams per espresso per double shot, and the double shot is, I guess, the what I mentioned, 2 ounces, and the drip coffee you would have the general consensus is people consume 12 ounces of the drip coffee, like you said, Ralph, your regular coffee. And that has about 95 to 180 milligrams. So you end up really having more caffeine because you drink more coffee, whereas the espresso is served in smaller portions, so you only consume uh, about 60 milligrams per double shot of espresso. And once you have the double shot, you really are awake, and so you really don't need any more. I used to consume, like, my cup never runs over, so it's always I had coffee. When it's empty, I get another brewed coffee. But when we started with espresso, I only can take one double shot in the morning. And if I'm really so stressed, I still take another double shot in the afternoon, but that's it. I get a little bit antsy after that. So what are the types of espresso shots? Just because you might hear this, these are the doppio, is the double shot of espresso. Ristretto is actually, it might seem like triple shot, but it's not. It's more concentrated, so it's only about an ounce or less than an ounce, but it is as strong. And then you have the macchiato, which is actually a 2 ounce, a double espresso with a foam of milk. And so what other beverages can you think of that are espresso based? They are, let's start with the macchiato. We already talked about that. That's a 2 ounce with 2 ounces of milk. And the espresso con panna is actually a 2 ounce of espresso also, and whipped cream, like 3 parts of whipped cream. So all of this, the latte, the flat white, are all based with milk. So, and the difference is the amount of milk and the type of milk. And the cafe brief is actually half and half instead of milk. So, guys, my favorite is the Americano, which is just an espresso with 3 parts water because it's too strong. Espresso is too strong. So nowadays, my joy, simple joy, are my grandkids and my espresso.
Aww.